Hello and welcome to the 2018 Offensive Line Coaches Clinic, presented by myself, Robert Morey. Today I'll be going over the rules I preach, the warm-ups, and the stances, how we changed it from 2017 to 2018. The four rules I preach: fundamentals, repetition, progression, and loyalty. Fundamentals. I believe just any coach should have this as their number one rule of preaching. Is that we, as an offensive line group, we have to be the most fundamentally sound. Because our unit is the first on the field, the first into contact, and we actually have the biggest job to do on the field. We don't just run around all day. We actually have to physically move someone from point A to point B. And like Joe Moore, one of the greatest offensive line coaches ever, once said, fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. It's the key to success. Number 2, repetition. What I mean by this is that I like to do the same drill over and over and over again till I see the offensive line has actually progressed in that drill to make it look clean, and they actually don't have any fundamental breakdowns in stance in whatever they're doing, like for example block, so we don't get lazy and just start extending our arms too far where we're leaning. Things like that, I like to make sure that we get just say 100 drills, 100 repetitions of this one drill. If all looks nice, then we'll move on. I like the 80% rule. As long as the 80% looks good, then I'll move on to the next drill that I have planned for that day. Number 3, progression. This one I've slowly been trying to understand more and more as I grow up as a coach and as a human being. With progression, I find that most coaches lack, we're just going to do this drill, this drill, this drill. I'm trying to stop this thinking with this whole progression idea, because if you think about, we don't want to just keep grabbing all these ideas and just do them on a day. How about we try to make it look clean as a practice? More for example, on day 1 and day 2, I'll do stances for 20 minutes. Then I'll do first steps. That's all. That's basically the first 2 days. Usually I do when I start high school season or summer ball. Then day 3 and day 4, if it all look clean, then I'll do first and second step, both in pass and run. If that looks all clean, then I'll add contact to a bag for run. Then pass, I'll do a mirror drill. Then day 4 comes around, just say day 3 was lackluster, and then I stay with those drills. So you kind of get what I'm trying to say, is that I have drills lined up for this specific reason, because I want to start from, if you've never played football before, teach you the basics. Basics, will add another level in there, see if you understand that. Then number 4 should be actually number 1, but, what I mean by loyalty and why I preach is because every offensive lineman I had, I tell them from day 1, no matter what any coach says, I am going to war for you. Even if I have to go to the coaches meeting and argue for 20 minutes why this person's a good fit, I will argue. I will argue till my dying breath. I've had coaches come to me and tell me, I don't want to play this kid. I argued for 20 minutes, and finally they actually see how much loyalty and how much trust I have in my men. You show that, those young men are willing to battle for you. Like some of the former athletes of Joe Moore once said, this guy may have been our head coach, but we played for Joe Moore. And that's the kind of coach I want to be, is where my players will die and play for me, and I'll die for them. So now the pregame warm-up. So before pre-practice, this are the drills I try to do with the linemen. If they get their own time, I'll grab a ladder, do 1, 2, and 4 feet in the ladder. I spelt that wrong. That's my bad. Just to warm up the feet, then with the side shuffle, I don't want them looking down, I want them looking up. Then the Iggy shuffle, normal, basic, then the scissor kicks, just to try to get everything warmed up to get moving quickly. Then I'll actually do some stretching. This is for the stretching portion, I only have about 5 to 10 yards, depending how much time I have before before we actually gotta get to practice. I'll do open and close the gate. That'll actually help opening up the hips. Now I like to do donkey walks to get them, comfortable, a little bit lower. With the donkey walks, I'll do 2 lengths of 10 or 5 yards, depending again the time. Then open close gate is only to 5 yards, or I like to go 5 yards. But sometimes, if the athletes are a bit annoying, I'll go 10 yards. So now the big part of this clinic. So how I've changed my philosophy on this is basically the staggered foot, but we'll get there in time. So in Canadian football, I'll be discussing between difference how I would do in Canadian and American football. But here it's basically how I would do in Canadian football and overall, just so you guys are aware. So with Canadian football, the center, I'll actually have the toes north-south. Reason is because I look at it like if for our reach blocks or zone blocks, we have to get around to the edge quickly. So for the center, I still like having toes north-south. Because if I look at he has to be the fastest on the team because his block is usually the most important for the start of the backside. So with that being said, as a sprinter, I've never seen a sprinter run angled or duck-footed, as we call it. So that's why I'm staying with the north-south foot location with the center. So where it does change is for the left guards and left tackles, right guards, right tackles, such. So the foot that's on the line of scrimmage will still stay the same north-south. For example, because I have to set the edge quickly on play side, so I want to use that foot to explode through. But the rear foot for these 4 positions is where we're changing. So instead of being north-south, I'm actually going to change it into an angled foot location. So I'm actually able to open up the hip and engage the glutes and the hamstrings. By doing that, I look at more of a backside block, because in the last 6 seasons of coaching, I found when I coached with the feet north-south, the backside would always get beat by the one tech of the defensive tackle. So by switching this will actually allow us to get more of a explosion and more of a to use more absolute strength to get across the defensive tackle's face instead of just trying to finesse ourselves around. Where if he was a front side guard, then I'd rather use finesse, hence why the foot is straight north-south. Again, the foot locations, centers I usually just slightly outside of the stance. The guards I like a little bit outside of that. Then with tackles, it's based on I change up the foot length based on how big the tackle is. So if he's a smaller tackle, he might be able to use the guard stance, but if he's bigger, then he might have to go wider than the guards. So usually with the foot location, I still like the toe to the inside of the foot alignment range, as you can see here with the line. So I still like that ratio. So there wasn't much change for 2018 season that I'm coming up with, except for this angled staggered foot. So at the end of the season, I'll review after summer ball and high school ball on how much it made difference. So hopefully we'll be able to see you then. Thank you for watching.